Hey, what's up, everybody? It's Dan Greer with Leading from the Middle of the Pack, and today we're going to be talking all about personal growth and development. So we kind of talk a little bit about books I've read and stuff like that over the last month, and guess what? I just finished a new book. Or last year, not the last month. But today we're going to be talking all about personal growth and development and why it's so important that you take that into your own hands and quit relying on everybody else to give it to you, and especially as a leader, and if you want to be this amazing leader, that's what you need to do. So cue up the theme song. We'll be right back. The big question is this. How are leaders, like us, who aren't necessarily in a management position, who go out and get our hands dirty, who are ready to answer their calling from God to lead, who are driven to learn and grow, gain the trust and respect of those around us, to actually be heard while not coming across as an authoritative prick? These are the questions, and this is the podcast that will give you the answers. Hi, my name is Dan Greer, and welcome to Leading from the Middle of the Pack. Awesome! So glad you guys are still here. Well, I hope you've been enjoying these podcasts. They've been a little bit shorter lately. I appreciate you guys being here for that. Trying to keep them about that 15-minute mark. That's kind of where we're at right now. Sometimes they run long, sometimes they run short. We're doing like 30 minutes. And I was like, oh man, I like 30 minutes because my commute's 30 minutes. But I'm like, not everybody's commute is 30 minutes. And plus, we also want to keep them a little bit shorter and to the point. So today we're going to be chatting all about personal growth and development and why you've got to take that into your own hands in order to make that happen. So, there's a lot of ways that you can take that into your own hands. Let's start with that. How do you take that into your own hands? Well, the first way is you get yourself some books, right? Like you can look back here at my shelves and you see all the books. Like if you look at all them books back there, I'll bet money if you're listening to this, you're gonna have a hard time seeing those books, okay? But if you're watching this, you can see them. So you can see all the books back there, and like the only one that is probably not personal development is that Tim Allen book on top that says, "Don't stand too close to a naked man." If you haven't read that book, it's a funny book. It's actually really good. It kind of biography on Tim Allen is really good. Anyways, my point is like you've got to surround yourself. You've got to take action into doing that. And one of the ways to do it is books. Another ways you can do that for personal growth is podcasts. What kind of podcasts do you listen to? Do you listen to true crime or stories or crapola? Or do you listen to something that's going to actually help you grow whenever you listen to it? Or you listen to interviews from people who are ultra successful or more successful than you in a place where you want to be? Or are you listening to the radio? Are you listening to Jay-Z country music? Or are you listening to a podcast or a book? Right? Like all that's personal growth. All that stuff that you can do in what I call like net time, no extra time. You can do it when you're driving. You can do it when you're running. You can do it when you're working out. I know I don't look like I work out. I'm working on it. I'm getting better, okay? You can do it any way that you want to do it. But here's the thing is like you've got to take that into your own hands and you've got to own that. You have to own that personal growth. You have to own what you're doing in order to make it happen. Does that make sense? You guys getting this? Okay. So that's how you own it. That's the first step you do. And that's how you're there. And if you're like, Dan, I don't know where to start. I want to start, but I don't know where to start. Well, we have this beautiful tool. It's a little thing called Google and the internet. Now, Google is like a noun. It's crazy. It's a noun and a verb and a name. But anyways, you could Google it. Like if you're interested in something, sounds really crazy. You could be like, hey, I'm really interested in yoga retreats. And so I'm going to Google people who put on yoga retreats so I can listen to businesses talk about how they're doing their yoga retreats so I can learn how to do a yoga retreat. No, I'm not doing yoga retreats for truckers yet. It's a good idea, though. I probably make some money doing that in like Costa Rica or something. Anyways, my point is, I digress. Getting distracted. Shiny object. Ooh. My point is that you've got to like own that. You've got to take it in, and there's tons and tons of tools out there to help you find what you're interested in. And I guarantee there's somebody that is doing something in the space that you want to learn about, that you want that self-help on. If you need help with finances, then you look at that, right? If you want help with mindset shift, then you Google like, hey, what's a great podcast to help me with mindset? Hey, what's a great book to help me shift my mindset? Hey, what's this, right? Like, don't be afraid to just go search it and then take a little time going through the results. Don't just look at the first 3 things that are sponsored. Look at the stuff under those, because that's what's really important. And don't be afraid to get on like the first 5 or 6 pages. A lot of people, when they go wrong with Google searches, in my opinion, they go on there, they go for the search, they search, DOT compliance, and then they take the very top one that's there. and 90% of the time it's a sponsored one, right? And they're not actually getting real people. They're getting crap. They're getting the people who have put a ton of into marketing, which is 100% real. You got to do that, right? But they're also not getting the best. So don't be afraid to comb through a couple pages in order to find it. I do like 3 to 5 pages. After 5 pages, I'm done. If you're not on the first 5 pages, I guess I'm not going to find you. The other thing that I really want to talk about here is like how much time you should dedicate to personal growth every single day. And yes, you just heard that right. Every single day. And I think the number is different for everybody. Me personally, it depends on the day. So there are times that when I'm traveling and I'm sitting on a plane. So, well, let me tell you this story. When I used to travel for work all the time, now I travel because I want to for work, but because I had to for work before. I would jump on a plane every Monday. I would fly home every Friday. I was a weekend warrior. I was a weekend dad. I was a weekend husband. It sucked. It made my life really hard. And I was traveling 50 to 75 to 95% of the time, depending on the month. And it was tough. Like, it was brutal. It was really hard on our marriage. It was really hard on our relationship. And it was really hard as a father as well, because I missed a lot of my kids growing up during that time frame. Luckily, it was only like 4 or 5 years. But now I do it for fun. Whole different story. But my point here is like, whenever I first started traveling, you know what I used to do? I used to get my phone out and I would download some TV shows that I wanted to watch. And then I was like, oh, I can do this on my tablet. So I got my tablet out and I started downloading on a tablet. And then I was like, oh, I should give me a 2-in-1. So I got a 2-in-1 from the company. And the whole reason I wanted the 2-in-1 is so I could download TV shows onto my tablet, and I could watch them while I was on the plane. I connect my headphones to them, I'm sitting there listening to them and watching these shows. And one day, after doing this for about a year, I was in the middle of a series. I can't remember what series I had downloaded. I can't tell you, but I was in the middle of this series, and I just remember going, holy crap, I am wasting my life. That was the thought that washed over me. And I was like, I am missing so much. So when I landed in Dallas, I was like, oh, I'm gonna listen to a podcast. I'm not gonna waste my life anymore. I'm gonna listen to a podcast. So I started looking, and God led me to a podcast called Born to Impact. And we talked about podcasts, right? And he led me to this podcast, Born to Impact. And that podcast changed. That right there was when I took control of my personal growth and development. Before that, I was just floating along. I didn't have control of it. After that, I stopped watching shows and movies on planes, and now I listen to books. If I have 6 hours of flight time, that means I can read a 12-hour book because I read everything at 2x. Okay? If I have 6 hours of flight time, that means I can listen to 12 hours of podcasts. That means that I can cram 12 hours of somebody else's knowledge. 12 hours. 12 hours is like 2 of these books right here. So it's like 800, 900, 1,000 pages. That's like 12 hours at 2x, okay? That's 12 hours. At 1x, actually, it'd be 6 hours at 2x. 6 hours at 2x is like Expert Secrets by Russell Brunson is a 6-hour book the way he reads it. At 2x, it's 3.5 hours or 3 hours. My point here is like I had to take control of it. I had to take control of my personal growth, my personal development. So one way to do it is podcasts. One way to do it is books. Another way to do it is going to live events, right? You totally go to live events. I do that all the time. I go to all kinds of live events. And you know what I do at those live events? They're not like, oh, rah, rah, feel good live events. They're not stuff where I go to symposium and I'm like, oh, let's learn about molecular science because I know so much about it. No, I'm going to stuff that's in my field that I want to learn on. Live events help you. They help you with personal growth and development, right? You're getting it right now, listening to this podcast, leading from the middle of the pack. You're crazy enough to listen to me, and so you're getting personal development and growth right now. You're opening your mind to something new, right? So we got live events, we got podcasts, we got books. The right live events, not bad live events. I'm not talking about going to a strip club. That's not going to help you with personal growth or development. I can promise you there. Okay? Well, I can't say that. I can promise you because I've never been to a strip club. But my point is I don't feel like that's going to help me with personal growth. What about like masterminds? What about like surrounding yourself with other people, going to dinner and stuff like that with people who are smarter than you, who are moving in a direction that you want to go in? So one of the things that I have, this is a rule that I have, I want to be the dumbest person in the room, every single room that I'm in. Yes, I'm going to say that again. I'm the exact opposite of the rest of the world. I want to be the dumbest person in the room for every room I'm in. I don't spend time in rooms where I'm not the dumbest person there. And I don't think I'm a smart dude. Okay? Like, that's not my point. I'm not saying like, oh, I'm super smart. Everybody else is an idiot. They're inferior to me. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I literally try to be the dumbest person in the room. I try to surround myself with people who are so much smarter than me. It's such the next level of me. Right? So like, if I'm here thinking about getting into real estate investment, I want to surround myself with people who are already invested in real estate, that have hundreds or thousands or hundreds of thousands of homes or doors or whatever you want to call them, right? Like, I don't know all the lingo yet. Like, I'm just learning this stuff. But like, that's where I want to be. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. I don't want to be the smartest person there. I want to be the dumbest person in the room. Because if I'm the dumbest person in the room, I can learn from everybody else in there. Now, the last thing I'm going to say on this, and then we're going to wrap it up, is that you can learn from anybody if you allow yourself to. Doesn't matter how smart you are. Doesn't matter how dumb you are. Doesn't matter where you're at. You can learn something from anybody today if you allow yourself to be open to it. That's the key for personal growth and development. You have to open yourself up to it. If you're not open to it, it won't work. It won't happen. You won't get there. You won't make it there. Okay? Awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this. If you didn't like this, what the heck are you still doing listening to this? Shut this thing off. Go find something else that's really good. Okay? All right. If you did like it, I'd love for you to leave us a 5-star review and share this podcast with some friends. And I want you to share in my excitement and my enthusiasm as well. And guess what? I'm so excited. We got some new stuff coming up. I'm super stoked about it. I can't tell you about it just yet, but I'm going to tell you about it soon. If you like DOT, you're going to be like, oh, I know nobody likes DOT, so nobody's going to be like that, but like, I'm like that because I'm kind of crazy. So anyways, if you like DOT, you're going to want to stick around because we're going to be giving you guys some insights, tidbits, and little stuff like that. Who knows? We might start a YouTube channel on DOT. I know, crazy. All right. Hope you guys have a great evening. Talk to you later.